So I decided not to do an unboxing because I really hate those. But it was fun unboxing this, I have to admit. Now, if I said I wasn't thinking about, maybe going to the SL system because of the issues I've had with the M11, I would be lying. But every time I thought about it, and the more I thought about it, I'm just like, I just can't do it. Because I love this form factor, this style, everything about this way too much just to say, oh, screw it, I'll go back to a big camera. Like I've been shooting on the Nikon Z6 II for just casual stuff in the studio, and for some clients that just needed light work. And the camera's beautiful, don't get me wrong, I do love the Z6 II, but going back to that form factor and that type of photography really sealed it for me for the M11. I don't, a lot of people have said, you crazy, why would you stay with it? Why would you do this? If you've been through, 4 bodies already, and this is your 5th, like you're nuts. And my own daughter said, what the hell? But I know they had some issues when they brought this out, everything from memory cards to, the freezing to the shutter. And I'm hoping everything was taken care of, and hopefully I helped get them to where they needed to be. No camera company ever wants to admit anything. But I'm hoping behind the scenes, the cameras that I toasted help them, and help everybody else who buys an M11 in the future. But I'd like to say so far this has been great, but it hasn't been 2 months yet. So hopefully this is the one. And like the other thing is, now don't get me wrong, the Nikon Z 1.8S lenses I think are absolutely spectacular. When I had that system, I just thought these were it. And for a plastic lens, which I know is like ridiculous to even say nowadays because they have to be this size versus, this is the other reason. Anyway, they're a good build. The quality out of them is, I think, spectacular. And, it's funny that not too long ago, I told everybody why I was using the Voigtlander Apo versus the Summilux, because this lens resolves a 60 megapixel sensor and the Summilux doesn't. There's sharpness and then there's muddy. Like when you zoom in, it becomes a little muddy in the skin or something, or in clothing and so forth. It's just not crisp. And it has nothing to do with contrast or anything like that. It just has to do with those lines of resolution that a lens can pull out. And the Voigtlander Apos, the 35 and the 50, just handle a 60 megapixel sensor, probably the best that I've seen so far. Again, I've never tried the Leica Apo, but, when I brought this up before, it was with Fuji cameras, and I said, these new lenses resolve so much better. And people are like, oh, you're crazy, and I got beat up for that really bad. But then, Fuji puts out these new lenses for a upgraded sensor, and, camera company's not gonna put all brand new lenses out if they don't need to, other than for the sales part of it, but to up the resolution to handle a new sensor like the 40 megapixel in the Fuji. And again, people thought I was nuts. Now Leica puts out the new Summilux-M, which one of the benefits is helping resolve the higher megapixel sensors. It's right there in Fuji's own words, black and white. The artistic look that you get out of the older lenses, I think, is spectacular. And, and when I say muddy skin, I don't mean it's bad. I just mean it's not as crisp or as defined as I need it to be for the type of shoots I do. Other people that have companies that say, we want that artistic look, I don't get those companies. They're not my clients. I wish they were, but they're not. So and that's like when you were watching YouTube videos and this person reviews this lens and this person reviews this lens, and they're two different cameras or two different sensors or two different copies, you're going to get different results. You know, glass is not perfect. As much as the critical manufacturing that Leica has, that Voigtlander has, that Nikon, Sony, whoever, lenses are not perfect. You're going to have fluctuations. You know, maybe somebody has a fluctuation in the left corner or the right corner. It just happens. Not all the time, not well enough to see the human eye most of the time, but it does happen. And then if you're shooting this on a 24 megapixel camera versus a 60 megapixel camera, they're two different lenses. You know, this particular lens, this is the 28 Voigtlander 2, Ultra 2 or something. Anyway, this handles the 60 megapixel okay. Does it need upgrading? If you want a clean, crisp shot for a 60 megapixel, yeah, there's no question about it. And I would love different lenses. I would love to try, you know, the Voigtlander 51.2, but it's an older lens. It doesn't resolve 60 megapixels as well as the Apo does. So, you know, for my type of shooting and for what I do for clients, I have to have that sharpness. And I hate to say sharpness because it's really not all about sharpness. It's about the depth and the clarity. And, you know, everybody's, oh, you can do it in post-processing. Well, you know, if you have a lens that doesn't resolve a 60 megapixel sensor, no matter what you do in post-processing, it's not going to help. You know, you can take muddy and interpolate the resolution all you want, you still have muddy. If that makes sense. And I'm not getting all geeky, like technical, because I'm just not smart enough for lens resolutions and lines of resolutions in a lens to tell you. And I'm sure they're out there, but they're boring. All I have to say is, you know, like when a company updates a lens, it's for a reason. Fuji did it. Now, you know, Leica did it with the 35 and the 50. And the 50, you know, specifically says on the marketing, it upgrades this, and resolution for larger sensors. So I do love the Summilux, the 51.4. It's a beautiful lens. And you know, will I be trying the new one? Absolutely. I'm just, you know, I would love to have that 50 that can resolve a 60 megapixel, and that I can go down to 1.4. And if it you know, does a good a job as the Voigtlander 50 Apo, I will use it. But you know, this is $900. It's probably one of the best lenses I've ever used in my life. Same with the 35 Apo from Voigtlander. They're just spectacular lenses. And as much as, you know, some people, well, you don't want that creamy background, this blah, blah. You know, for when I shoot, no, I don't need it. And when I shoot this wide open, I get a nice blurred background. I get 3D separation. I love it. Anyway, that's my story. You know, fingers crossed. I hope this thing handles and does well for me. I'm looking forward to you know, worry-free shooting with this for quite a while. You know, I always have my Z6 II as a backup, but hopefully I will never need it with this new body, and hopefully the upgraded internals, so it lasts a little bit longer than 2.5 months. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. Sorry for the long rant about everything, but I just figured I'm going to throw this stuff out there, especially with the new Summilux coming out. Anyway, have a great day, and thanks for watching as always.